Okay. This is sixth semester class for the Coil Spring 2025, Coil Brazil, Mexico, and it is for the bachelor's degree in English language teaching. Today we have an expert teacher called Professor Maria Magdalena Bermejo del Villar, and she's going to talk about her experience in English language teaching. Go ahead.
Okay, good morning everyone. Good morning. I'm very happy to be here. Very happy to share with you my experiences as a teacher. Just let me tell you that my bachelor degree is in English and English to young learner, and that's why my experience with children, I think I taught children for around 28 years. I was teaching young learners at the same time that teaching university students, and that was very good. I had the opportunity to compare that children are children no matter the age. That the students play in the classroom no matter the age. So it was very important for me. My master's degree is in English language teaching. I studied at the University of Southampton in England. And the PhD is in education. I had these three levels you need to know, but the most important for me is that the classroom, I consider that the classroom is the best place for a teacher to grow, to really understand the students. It's not the same just to start with the books, the theory, but to have the practice. Sometimes we have excellent books and sometimes we want to talk with the author and say, okay, now you tell me what can I do with this book, because you give your good advices, but that is impossible to put them into practice. So my invitation is to practice, practice, practice. Never be afraid to have the opportunity to play, to teach.
Thank you.
Many students during my 21 years at the university told me, Miss, but I don't like to. I really don't want to teach this. I'm not patient. And I say, okay, you need to take the class, enjoy the class, learn a little bit about this, but you know what happened there? That the first opportunity they had in their teaching life was with this. And I have found many students in different schools in Tapachula that say, Miss, you remember I told you I don't like teaching kids, but I'm here and I'm very happy. So I invite you to please just take everything that you listen and remember that I'm here, I'm in Tapachula, and if you want or need some advice, I will be here for you always. But take the opportunity to teach them. Because the best way, I think that if you take the challenge to teach children, you can teach in time. You have all the tools.
Thank you very much, Teacher Sally. Okay, now we're going to ask some questions that it is a round table in which the students want to know something about the career, and they want to let people from Brazil, students from Brazil, also know what is going on in Mexico. Okay, just a minute. Very good. Okay, who's going to be the first one? Okay, Ovil, go ahead.
Okay, my name is Ovil. Okay, will be the first question. It's not in the PDF, it's a personal question, but I would like to ask, do you think that teaching English or studying English give you more job opportunities?
Oh, yes, of course. Yes, of course. You know, I had the opportunity to teach English here, but also in different areas. For example, with in tourism. And I always say, how come that you don't speak English? All the jobs that it's supposed that are for you, that they are still touristic, in hotels, restaurants, airport, as a tourist guide, you know who is working there? Or who? You. Because this career is the one that really gets a good English level. And they are still touristic and they cannot take these jobs because they don't speak good English. So really, this is the 21st century, and many times they say, no English anymore now, maybe Korean or maybe another language. No, English is still the lingua franca.
Thank you very much. Okay, we're going to go to the second question. Go ahead, Noel.
My name is Noelia, and I would like to know what methodologies or approach do you consider most effective when teaching English in multicultural settings?
Okay, that's a very good question. You know, at the school we learn many methods. We have many methods, and the natural approach, TPR, communicative approach. Well, there are plenty. And there's one called the eclectic method. The eclectic method is what you take from every method. But sometimes we as teachers, we use what we consider is the best for our students. But we need to think in the opposite side. What is the best for my students? You know, as teachers, sometimes we need more comfortable teaching in some methods. But sometimes it's not the best method for your students. So you need to make a good combination. You need to observe your students. Are they talkative? Are they participative? Are they, it depends on their personality. Every group has like a personality. And according to that personality, you need to use the resources, you know. In ninth semester, I really enjoy when I had the opportunity to teach ninth semester, because I asked the students to define their own teaching method. According to your personality, you always teach in some way. Sometimes because you were told in that way and you consider that's the best, but my invitation is observe your students. Observe your students. I have had 3 groups of English level, and the 3 groups were really different. And with one group, they enjoy songs, and they enjoy videos, and they enjoy, because they were very participative. But I had another group that was really serious. They enjoyed learning grammar, and they prefer like the patterns, subject plus verb plus adjective, and it was 5th semester too. So your students are almost different. Try to really identify the personality of the group and your students' personalities to adapt your teaching method.
Thank you. Another question, guys?
Hi, my name is Teresa, and this is a question. From your experience, what are the main challenges students face when learning English as a foreign language, and how have you addressed them?
Can you repeat it?
And how have you addressed them?
For the students, I mean, the challenges the students face. I consider that sometimes breaking with this part of thinking, trying to translate everything that you say. Because sometimes you don't find the word exactly. How can I say this? How can I say this? And you try to translate it. And that's why you stop thinking, that's why. So I think that's the most challenging part, and that's why it's important to, since the beginning, to listen to songs in English, to listen to your series in English, watch movies in English, because in that way you are learning the language. Remember, in the language we have different ways to say the same thing. So when you just translate, we can say you are speaking in Spanish, because you translate exactly how you say it in Spanish, you translate it into English, and it's not the same thing. There is something called the use of the language. A very common example. We say in Spanish, yo tengo 20 años. We say in English, do we say, I have 20 years? And these are the same mistakes that we make with many words because we just translate. So I think that's a challenge, but if you also read, if you enjoy reading, try to read in English. In that way you adopt the use of the language. Sometimes I'm watching a movie and still it happens to me and I say, oh, they say this in that way. Ah, okay, is that the phrase? Ah, they say this word. Okay, so it's important to be in contact with the language to learn the use of the language. And even it's different in the United States than in England, for example.
Thank you very much. Okay, another question, okay?
Okay.
Your name,
My
remember?
Name is Nestor or Felipe. It's okay? Okay, the question is, what major change have you observed in English language teaching over the past 20 years?
Oh, well, I used to have a collection of textbooks in my office. No. It was funny. The books that I have from the last century. Because I used to have many books. So the way of teaching, in the past, everything was like grammar patterns, formulas, and little by little, I really enjoyed that part, the communicative part. The books were different, they tried to make it more attractive, they really tried to make the students, to put them in contact with the language, with videos, with QR images that you can be connected to audios. So the methods have been changed. Grammar translation was the method in the past, and I was really sad to listen in the classrooms when I was here that many students express themselves telling me, Miss, in my high school, in my secondary school, they only asked me to translate text. So grammar translation. That was in the last century. That's incredible. That's why Tapachula needs teachers like you with new methods, that are not afraid to use technology, that are not afraid to use different things in your classes. That's why English teachers are so popular in the schools, because they sing, they play, they do activities. And that's what the students need, something different. So
Thank you.
That's it.
Thank you very much. Okay, another question? Okay.
I don't know if someone...
Remember your name, please?
Yes, my name is Cesar, and I don't know if someone asked it before about emotions. How do you think such emotions affect learning or motivation affects in the class, and how it is involved with giving classes, and what about your experience?
Well, I have to tell you, this is my best part. Because for me, I consider, and I also share that with my students, that when you get into a classroom, the most important part is the student. The most important part is that you have the opportunity to help each student. That you have the opportunity to make a good day for your student that day. If you see that, and I can tell you experiences in the past. You know your students, and you notice when they are sad and they have a problem. You notice their expressions. The most important part is that you care about your students. That you really maybe get closer and ask what happened to you. Can I help you? Would you like to talk? That's why the tutorial part is my part too. So because I consider that if your students are, I cannot say emotionally balanced, they are going to be better students. But I'm not going to be thinking, I want my students to get 10, so I'm going to pay attention to them. No. The most important is that you really make your students feel that they are important. You know, nowadays in this society, and I'm sure you have lived this, people in general, young people, kids, adults, need attention because we are in the cell phone. We are doing things. We don't care about each other even in the same house. to eyes. They need someone that really notice that you are sad, that something happened to you. So that's the best part and the most important part in a classroom. Okay, that you as a teacher care about your students.
Thank you. Okay, another. Okay, who was first? Okay, Alexa.
Hi, my name is Alexa, and my question is, what advice would you give to early career English teachers?
Well, my advice is really to take all the experiences, please. Sometimes some students call me Miss. They call me from that school, but the salary is really low. They are going to pay me. Yes, but you need experience. Take the experience, please, take the experience. Then you will be able to say, okay, well, now I want to win more. But first you need experience. So I don't know what happened nowadays, but many students, teachers, start working in a school and maybe in 1 month or 2 months they leave the school. And this is also something that I always say to my students, many kids in schools, maybe they don't have their daddy at home, maybe their daddy left them, or maybe their mommy, maybe they have been living with their grandparents, and now you the teacher, you also will let them. So what are you making them feel? That they don't care. So take the challenge, accept these jobs, but please conclude the semester, conclude the school year. Never, never, never leave your students alone, please. Because sometimes you are the only person that they feel close to them. And you also hurt their feelings when you left them. Okay, so take the challenge. But they are really young. Don't worry. Look at videos. Call me Sally. Go to YouTube. Learn songs. Take the challenge, and you will learn to teach everyone.
Thank you very much. Another question? Okay, with Sergio.
First of all, it's a pleasure to have you in this classroom. My name is Sergio Fuentes, and the next question is, what differences have you noticed in how English is taught in Mexico, the United States, and Brazil or Latin American countries, both in terms of methodology and educational policy?
Something that really caught my attention in the past, that here in Mexico, we start teaching another language since the kids are very, very young, since they are 3 years old. And in other countries, they start teaching a second language later. I think that we here consider that the students can learn one language, 2 or 3 at the same time, sometimes because of the experience, but big difference has been the age when we start including the second language in the school system. This is an important one. Another, in some of these countries it's like so common that they learn 2 or 3 languages. And here we don't get the students to learn the language. We include the English since nursery. But if you go to the different areas at the university, the students are not, how can I say, or maybe they don't feel themselves prepared to accept an interview in English. So we say, okay, how come? What the problem is here? So I don't know if our methodology in the public schools have not been really reaching the objectives, because it's difficult sometimes to get the students to speak in English as you do in some areas. And we would like to have all of them doing that. And if you go to the United States, they start learning the second language later, but at the end you see the kids are speaking 2 languages or 3. So I really think that something needs to change. in our public schools, in the way they are teaching the language, and maybe also the culture. You want to learn English because of the career, because you are here, this is special for you. But maybe some other students don't consider that it's important. I'm going to be an accountant, I'm going to be a lawyer, an architect. I don't need the language. But we do because of the job opportunities too. And not just because you want to go and work at the United States. You can also receive people from the United States and speak to them in English. And to make them feel that, okay, they are prepared with you too. And so I think that that's important, that we change the culture, because if the students feel the necessity to speak their language, they will do it. But I think that they don't feel it. I don't know if you knew that there are countries like in England, for example, that there are no nurses anymore. No nurses. They came to Mexico and they want to take nurses from Mexico to you know what the problem was? They didn't speak their English. That was the problem. So I really hope this is your opportunity. Imagine how many students you will have in the future. Please invite them, convince them, share with them this passion for the language, not to compete with others, to be able to work in every place, to show what Mexicans can do. That's important.
And also they can get scholarships and be able to get some mobility, international mobility, or scholarship for a master's degree. Yeah, thank you very much. Who's next? Go ahead. Your name, please.
Hello, my name is Ingrid Rojas, and I would ask you, how do you adapt your teaching for students with different learning styles?
Well, that's good. That's good. I learned to do that with kindergartens. We even had to include in our lesson plan these activities for auditory learners, these activities for kinesthetic learners, this is for visual learners. So you have to mix. Okay, we are going to learn about fruits. Okay, this is a song for fruits. This is a game with fruits. But you know, when you are aware of the different activities, you start including them in your lesson. So if you want to be sure you are adapting your teaching to the four learning styles, you are going to have a very dynamic class. Okay, so at the beginning we have to do lesson plans. You need visual guide, visual map to get to the point. So mark, okay, so you know why? Sometimes if I am kinesthetic, for example, I'm going to tend to include only kinesthetic activities in my class because that's my personality. But if you check your lesson plan and then you say, okay, which of these activities is for visual learners? No one. So I have to include something, videos, bring some images, something. Okay, and for auditory learners, nothing. I didn't include. Okay, so maybe a lecture, maybe, and you will have a very dynamic class if you take the time to analyze your lesson plan, including activities for all the learners. And there are plenty of activities according to the age of your students. Okay?
Thank you. The next question.
Hello, morning. My name is Brenda Cruz, and as one of the classes said, it's a pleasure to have you here. I'm very happy about this. And I got two questions for you. The first one is, do you consider that working with children is more difficult than working with adults? And the other one is, do you think that children need more attention than the adults, and why?
Okay, about the first question, yes, of course. And the difference is that, in your case, are you here because you want to? Are you studying English because you want to? Or someone is like, you have to study English? What happened with they didn't even ask. They were sent to the school. They don't have the necessity. Maybe you have the necessity because you need to pass the exams. You need to finish secondary and high school and you have English included. But little ones, they don't even know, they don't even care. But that's great because you can sing, play, jump, and playing with them, you can teach them. You can take advantage of their musical memory, and you can start singing songs, and they are going to learn the days of the week, and Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and they will learn. They don't know they are learning. Even it's funny because when mommies arrive for them and they say, "What did you do?" "Nothing." And the teacher is like, no, because they thought they were playing all the time, coloring, making art crafts and things like that. But what the problem is? The span of attention. First of all, they don't even care about English. Second, the spans of attention are really short. They go more or less according to the age of the students. 3 years, 3 minutes. 4 years, 4 minutes. Can you imagine? You need to catch their attention in 3 minutes, in 4, in 5 minutes. That's why you need to change to so many activities. And you need to take advantage of those 3 minutes and to really make something that get into their minds. Okay, so that's why it's a big difference. It's challenging, but it's enjoyable, it's funny, and it's a beautiful age to teach. Okay, and if you teach children, you can teach anything. And the second was about
If the children need more attention than adults.
Yes, they need much more attention because they are not aware of situations that in which they can hurt themselves. Or sometimes, and if you as a teacher are not aware of that, you can put them maybe to run, and maybe they fall, they hit their heads. And in fact, I have 2 very terrible accidents in a classroom in my life, in my teaching life. Once I asked the students to please bring the wastebasket, but another student won't. So they run and they had a terrible, they hit each other very, very bad. And another was, I put my students into line, okay, let's go outside, let's go to recess. But one little girl was with her hand in the door. And when the last kid closed the door, hurt her hand. So you need to be really careful with the kids because sometimes they really don't think about these situations in which they can hurt themselves or cut, or using scissors in a classroom and suddenly, oh, I like your hairstyle. And mommy's come and you want to die. So they need attention. In many schools, when they are very little, they have like an auxiliary because you need to have like many eyes. You know what happened another time? A kid was eating something into the classroom, and I just heard someone like, but I couldn't see who was the kid. Oh no, I had really, really a bad moment because you are responsible of all the kids. Okay, so they need attention.
So, hi, my name is Gabriela Vallejo, and my question for you is, how do you encourage critical thinking and intercultural reflection in your English lessons?
Well, I like very much about critical thinking because in the past we were told, we call it like the teaching style was like a spoon feeder. Okay, I'm teaching you this, eat it. I'm teaching, but they didn't make us think about the knowledge we were receiving. We make us just accept it as a truth, as a totally true. So I consider that if we really want people or a society that can express their thoughts in a proper way, not fight, to use really this critical thinking about different situations, you need to teach them since they are real little. What do you think about this? Would you like to do this? Do you like that game? Would you like to ask them to give their opinions, and you as a teacher, take them seriously? If you are going to decide something in your classroom and you are asking your students their opinion, take them seriously. Not just, okay, your opinion, but I'm going to do what I want to because I'm the teacher, you know? I think that happened in the past, and we just accept, okay, that's it, this is the truth. I remember myself memorizing so many things, long questionnaires, but not giving opinions even about facts of the history. No? You can talk about some facts in our Mexican history. And what do you think? What would you have done? Do you think this really changed society? Not just accept, this happened. Yes, this Independence Day. Yes, of course. The heroes in our country. That's important because we will have a more participative society that can really make changes. When you give your students the opportunity to say their opinions and that you give value to these opinions.
Thank you very much. Okay, go ahead.
Hello, Miss.
Your name?
It's my pleasure to meet you today. I'm Carlos Jafet, and I'd like to ask you that question. Sorry. From your experience, can you share the characteristic of an efficient teacher? How to get that, and what are the main features of that teacher?
Well, that's my topic.
Yes, I know. So yes.
Well, it's because in the book I talk about effective and efficient teachers. I'm not going to talk about a good and a bad teacher, no. Effective and efficient, because many teachers want to do the things right. But you know, sometimes teachers care about to design a good lesson plan, to be on time, to do things well. Okay? But they always have like a line. Okay? You have like a line, and I'm the teacher, you're the students, I'm teaching you, sharing with you things, but you never cross that line. So I consider that it's important, okay, to be effective, but to be efficient. What? To really help your students to be better. When you really touch your students' lives and inspire them to be better, that's the best part. Because you can teach, and you can be a good teacher, but your students never feel you close to them. And I think it's very important both. Be good with your materials, your lessons, like your classes, even your classroom. But the most important part is that you coach your students.
Thank you very much.
Okay, anybody else? Okay, one more question, but I need somebody to. Okay, Professor Sally. Well, as an expert teacher, I would like you to tell the students what challenges as a teacher we face when working in different schools and also with family. Because, for example, what's the most difficult thing about balancing things between work and also family and friends? What have you heard about teachers' experiences?
Personal, talking about personal.
Your personal and but of other teachers too.
Mm.
Your personal but also teachers, because that's something that they will have to face and learn.
Yes, it's very important to have a balance. Remember, I remember that we used to watch a movie that is called, I remember the name, and I will ask you to watch it because You can see that part in that movie. Someone asked me about the emotions if are important in the classroom, but also your emotions as a teacher. And if you're married, if you have a husband or a wife, and if you have a good relationship with your husband, everything is going to be good in your classroom too. If you have problems here, sometimes we say that we need to cut that. We don't have to bring the problems to our classrooms. But it's really difficult not to bring your problems. Maybe you don't sit in front of your students and cry, but students will notice that part. Okay, so we as humans, we have this our body that we need to take care of our body, to sleep well, to eat well, to have good health. But we also have a mind where we have the emotions, the feelings, and it means your family, your friends, your husband. Right now I have my mommy here, and one of the things I am happy to do is to take time for her. She's 94 years old. And when I was here in Tapachula, she lives in Mexico City. So living here in Tapachula, I have the opportunity to see my mom and my dad 2 or 3 times a year. And sometimes if they are sick or something, you are worried. Okay, so make a balance. Please make a balance. When you are young, when you maybe don't have other responsibilities as a family, to have children, you can use all the time for your job. But then you forget about your body. You don't exercise yourself, you don't eat well, you don't sleep well, you spend time at night maybe watching videos or watching series or playing or something, and you don't notice right now, because you are young and beautiful, that this will have problems in the future. This will make problems to you in your health. So if you want to have a good life as an adult, and maybe you say, Miss, who's going to think about that? Well, one day you're going to be my age. Really. The time passes so fast that you as a teacher, and with many teachers I have seen, I met a couple, they were married, but they decided not to have children because both are researchers and don't have the time to take care of a family. Well, they decided, I respect. But if you are not in that agreement with your couple, with your partner, you're gonna have problems. So it's important that you have a balance. Remember, you have a body, you have your mind, and you have your spirit that also you need to take care of it. In the way that you decide to do it, with music, with art, with God, with what you decided. But you have to take good care of these 3 parts. And your family is included there.
One more question. Teacher Villar from Brazil was saying that a lot of students are having difficulty finding jobs as English teachers. How would you describe today's experience in Mexico about also English teachers who are finishing their degrees, and what can they do to be the first ones to get a plaza or a good job?
They need to conclude everything. You know, I always call students, or they are looking for teachers in that school, but they need to have all their documents, their diploma and everything. That's the difficult part. The students don't conclude. So nowadays, if you want to work in the public system, you need to conclude everything. You need to have your diploma, your title, everything. If you want to work in the private system, now they are also requiring all this. So please, since the beginning, think how I'm gonna be able to conclude. Because there are many teachers outside that because of this don't have a job. Because really, I have been looking for teachers because I have many friends here in Tapachula that are owners of schools. And they call me, Sally, necesito maestra. Sally, consígueme maestra, por favor. And I can get one. And it's because of that. You don't think, you say, I'm finished. I mean, yes, but you haven't finished yet. Please, do it. Thesis document or maybe master's degree. In some way you can conclude it, finish till the end. And be prepared with your TOEFL exam. Please.
And what about the AI, inteligencia artificial?
Okay.
What do you think is happening nowadays in the teaching practice?
It's dangerous, I think, because AI can do everything. Can do a lesson plan, can design a class for teachers, for kids, but AI can design the lesson plan, but you are the one that are going to implement it. So if you're not prepared, you won't be able to implement this beautiful class that AI designed, okay? So if you give a good use of it, that's great. It can do wonderful things, really. Even images, even videos, presentations, wonderful things. But you must be more intelligent than AI, okay? And to learn how to use it.
Thank you very much. Son tres universidades, Tocantins de Brasil, UNACH y La Salle Bajío. Gracias. Vamos.